Hey, it's Shay. So I just want to start by saying that this is going to be very much like podcast form, like my last video, where you can just play it in the background, listen to it in the car, um, put your headphones in. You don't actually have to sit and watch me. You can just listen. So I just got back from my fourth viewing of Avatar Fire and Ash. Went to it on New Year's Eve. I'm not sure when I will be posting it. Hopefully at some point on January 1st, but it may be January 2nd. I went to the 10:15 screening at Lansdowne. And so, funny enough, I went in 2025 and came out in 2026. I could hear the fireworks while we were watching the movie, which is really funny. So this screen viewing, it's a new format that I had seen that Cineplex was offering, specifically the Lansdowne location, where it was it's high frame rate laser projection 3D D box. That's a mouthful. And I actually wrote down a whole bunch of notes. So I don't know if I'm going to be editing all the cuts out, or I'm just going to be, just reading off and just doing this in one take. I'm not too sure yet. So I did my best with taking a bunch of notes. I may repeat things from my last recording because I just kind of was all over the place. So if I do repeat things, I do apologize. But yeah, so like the last one, there are going to be spoilers in this one. So please, if you don't want things spoiled, please watch the movie before you come here. Please watch my last review, my last long form review before you watch this one, because this one's going to be like a continuation since it's my fourth watch. There are more things that I noticed this watch, more questions that I had. So with that being said, I'm not going to delay it any further. I'm going to get into my notes. And I did a pretty good job, I have to say, with my notes, seeing as I was writing a lot of them in the dark and writing a lot of them on paper that had other text. So I only had certain gaps. So the first thing that I want to know is about the screen quality. I have to say this screen type was immaculate. It must have been the high frame rate, because let me tell you, I've taken my glasses off because some people, they'll say, well, I can't really tell the difference. And when it's like a 3D movie, when they take their glasses off, they say, oh, well, I can just sit and watch it. This movie, this type was fantastic. I absolutely loved this screen type. Absolutely loved it. So if you can, and you're in Ottawa, or you're in another city that offers a high frame rate screen, check it out for a movie. I might do some cuts because so one question that I had from actually every single viewing was about Spider. I've noticed that, and it wasn't until I think my last watch that I realized that he has stripes. So I'm really, really curious about why Spider has the stripes like the Na'vi people. Not too sure. They never answer that. As well as when Quaritch, when he's talking to Spider, when he's in the room, he talks about his mom. And he says, when your mom went into that ship, that day, she died a hero. So I'm just trying to wrap my brain around who Spider's mom could be. Who from the first movie could have been the mom. And then even still, why does he have stripes? Is it because he was born on Pandora? I'm not sure. So that was one thing. Another thing is that, so I was looking at Jake's eyes and Lowak's eyes and Kiri's eyes, and I noticed something. So, and I don't know about Natiri and Took, but so at the end of the second movie, Jake, he opens his eyes at the end of the movie and his eyes are like a greenish color. So I don't know if other people noticed this, but you know, the forest Navi people, their eyes are yellow. And then you have the reef people where I had noticed that Rogan, I think is the Sakik from the reef people. Her eyes were like a greenish blue, and then I forget his name, the leader, his eyes were blue. And when you take blue and you take yellow, you get green. So I think that's why his eyes were green, which I think is really, I thought that was really cool. I noticed that compared to the last two movies, it was Lowak that was narrating, was the voice of narration. The first movie and second movie, it was Jake's character that was narrating, but this time it was Lowak's character that was narrating. And with me watching this movie for the fourth time, I think I realized and made a connection that I wasn't sure about from the first watch, is I think that Jake, Sully, and Terry actually see like the spirit tree because they were both smiling at the end of the third one. So I'm thinking that they're actually there. They don't see a different location or anything like that. So that's what I'm theorizing. And I had noticed that, so in the first movie, you have Jake Sully, who is chased by, I don't even know what the creature's called. It's like a black cat lizard thing. I don't, people can comment what that creature's name is. So he was chased in that one. And then in the second one, Kiri is chased by, I don't remember which creature it was, but she was chased and she ends up in, you know, like a reef of sorts. And this one, Lowak was actually chased. So I thought that was really interesting that, you know, each one of them ended up getting chased. So another thing that I had noticed, that with every movie, in my opinion, the like big fights that happen, you know, in the last little bit of the movie against the sky people, the humans, every single movie, the fights get more and more and more epic. You know, you have in the first one where they prayed to Awa, and then Awa comes through. And then you have Kiri, who is, you know, praying to Awa, and then Awa comes through. And then this one, I don't know if it was Awa that came through, more so it was Kiri that was the one to come through. And then you had Tolruk. He was the one that called all the flying banshees. He's the one that calls them. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And we got to see more with every movie, like more of these creatures. You get to see more of the creatures, like the squid things. But I have to say that every single movie, I found that the battle got more and more and more epic. Like, I have to say that, like, between the second and third, I like the third better than the second. A lot of people are saying that. But yeah, again, you have to see the second one before you see the third one, and because you're going to be lost. And it's interesting because I noticed that it kind of clued in that the first movie, the second movie, and the third movie, right when, you know, the humans are in range of whatever the attack is going to be, they say, hold on, I get some movement on here, and, you know, I'm detecting something down here. And then they all get attacked. So I really like that. The other thing that I had noticed is, so you had, you know, the spirit tree, and then, you know, the flying mountains, and it was affecting the humans, like technology, where they couldn't use their trackers to attack. So this one, they had the like anomaly that had like a gravitational pull in this one. And I gotta say, when the ship breaks up, first off, I was really satisfied when the commander died. You didn't see her die, but it was very clear that she had died. And then to have all the flying pieces coming up, I thought that was super epic. And then, so I don't think I mentioned this in the last one, the last time I watched this movie, most likely because it was opening day. But between opening day and now, there's been a number of things that I've read. One of which is that, you know, they introduced a new villain, which was the chairman. So I'm not too sure his name, but he's the, I guess, the man in charge, the one that was playing mini putt in the first one. He was the one to say, oh, well, like there's a whole bunch of other trees they can go to. He's kind of the one at the helm. It's unveiled in the movie that it's, you know, he's talking to the captain, and, you know, she's saying that he's essentially grounded, and she said, well, what are you going to go do? Tell daddy? And he said, well, you mean the chairman? So from what I've read, people are theorizing that, the commander, essentially, he is a Nepo baby, and he was sent there to prove himself to his dad that, you know, he can actually run the ship and all of that. So people are theorizing that maybe the chairman is gonna be like, you know what, I can't depend on my son. He's failed twice. I gotta do it. Or like, I gotta do everything myself to get it done right. So that's one thing. Another thing that I have read is that they're talking about there being another time jump. Not too sure how big of a gap of the time jump, but they're talking about another time jump. Another thing that I have read is that it's hinting involving Earth in the next two, where it's having to save humanity from extinction. So it's one of those things that Neytiri will get to actually see Earth. So that will be really interesting. I have no idea how that would even work. But with the success, I think as of when I looked yesterday, December 31st, Avatar Fire and Ash had already grossed $773 million. And they're talking about how Avatar Way of Water, and then Avatar Fire and Ash has actually become a more successful, or will be a more successful trilogy to Star Wars. So that is something. I had another thing that I had noticed that I'm just trying to. So they're wrong. So we don't see that the corporal has died. So that's another thing that they're talking about. These new villains. You have Varang, who survived, and she's gotten a taste for the firepower. And you have the corporal, who I noticed that, with me reading stuff and, watching this movie again, you actually get to kind of start to see a shift in him, in the corporal, and in Quaritch, that, if you pay attention, there's a shift in him where he's starting to see beyond, starting to see the workings of Pandora, how there's more to it. And I like that Jake was very much saying, you always have a choice. You have these dead man's memories, you have these new eyes, use them. There's just so much more to this place. And, he having a soft spot for his only son and trying to get connected. So I'm really curious to see. He hasn't, I honestly, I was wondering if he had died, but I don't think he actually has died. So it'll be really interesting with, maybe he's going to team up with Varang. I would love to see, like, Varang, and I don't know if I said this in the last review, but, it'll be really interesting if we get to see more of the, Ash people and understand more about that, outcasted kind of people. Another thing that I wondered about, so two things that I actually made sure to write down because I got them wrong, is the Tukun. They're the whale things. And then it was Payakan, who's Lawak's brother, essentially. His, sea brother, I guess. And one thing that I questioned is how Lawak knew sign language. I from watching the second one, he was able to figure out sign language. I don't know if he figured out sign language before or after he connected to Payakan's, where they get the Amrita. Another something I noticed this watch is that I don't know if he said it in the second one, probably, but so you have Jake Sully. Sorry, it was Neytiri that kills Quaritch in the first one. You have Jake Sully, who kills or attempts to kill Quaritch in the second one. And then in the third one, Quaritch jumps off. But I want to say, I know that he says it in the first one, but I don't know about the second one. But he says, well, ain't that a bitch? Before he jumps off. Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see how the next movies go. That was everything I'd written down. Went by a lot faster than... Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that I'm just going to say the Flying Banshee because I do not remember their name. Um, I didn't realize until this one that they can carry their like wings can go together and they can carry rocks. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I noticed that. I'm like, oh, I'm learning so much more about these things. So that's a shorter review than I expected. So absolutely, honestly, I loved it. I still love it. The movie goes by so fast. I might end up watching it again. I haven't actually been to a Landmark theater yet. I've only seen this movie in Cineplex theaters, and I have a soft spot for Landmark, so I think I will go see it again, but do the Laser Ultra 3D at Landmark and do the premiere, because the seats will be heated and I'll actually be able to like fully recline, have a very, very comfortable viewing experience. And then I'll do another possible review if there's more things I figure out, or maybe not. But yes, that is, I think, everything so far. I don't know if I'll be uploading this on January 1st. I'm going to aim, but it might get uploaded January 2nd. Best thing for me is uploading January 1st. So I hope everyone had a fantastic New Year's Eve. Lots of good times. And I had a really great New Year's Eve. Honestly, the perfect way to spend New Year's Eve for myself. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. And thank you so much for listening. And, I'm looking forward to the next movie. There's a lot of really good movies coming out this year. There's a list of them. And more reviews will be coming. So always, thank you so much for sitting and listening to me. And I hope you enjoyed my review. And until next time.